यहाँ पेन भी पेन
तो अलग बोल, मैं अलग
मैं तो पहले बोलूंगा ना, तो इसका तू देख ले
कर। अच्छा, इसका वर्जन अलग अलग है। हाँ, ये स्टोरी क्वेश्चन का आंसर अलग अलग है।
तो पहले आंसर
नहीं, तो पहले आंसर। ये तो शायद हमारे पेरेंट्स को भी नहीं पता होगा इसके क्या कर रहा है।
The Learning Curve with Bharat Agarwal.
Hello everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Learning Curve with me, Bharat Agarwal. Today I am at Aragma, one of the very few tasting menu restaurants in India. The fun part of it being, it is the brainchild of a VIT Pune alumna, Poornima Somayaji. Joining us is another VIT Pune alumnus, Patanjali Somayaji, a serial entrepreneur, a budding photographer, and her partner in life. In their race with great food and great ideas. Welcome to this episode. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
So Poornima, what has been your journey after VIT Pune?
I graduated, I'm a 2000 batch pass out. Like those days, I think campus interviews were a thing, and I got placed in Satyam. Very delighted at that point in time. Like many other engineers post Satyam, it was always on my mind to do some masters and see how I can better myself. I went to Australia to do my masters, but very quickly I realized that that's not something that interested me, and it wasn't adding any value to what I already knew. So I decided to come back. A brave decision at that point in time.
Very bold.
Yeah. But I think it was the right thing to do. Came back, joined IBM in the product services team, partly product development and also services around that. Until life happened with Patanjali. She had a beautiful son, and it was a conscious decision to step back, focus on family. Right. But at the same time, I think, when you are into a career graph, you do not want to stay back at home. So I dabbled into entrepreneurship around the garments industry with family, and until food happened about 5 years back, and that's how I started Aragma.
Well, thank God food happened, because we are recipients of great food at Aragma, and I can vouch it myself.
Thank you.
Patanjali, over to you. You are 2000 batch, I am 2003, and when I was your junior, we were all hearing about a superstar senior. So what has happened after 2000 with you?
So yeah, I mean, like 2000 passed out. Y2K was the year for all of us, right? So in 2000, I had a bunch of reasons to stay back in Pune. One of them, so I got placed at Hyderabad through campus. But then, of course, I was, I was wooing her. So at that time, I had a reason to be in Pune. And then I also wanted to work in Linux, because at that time, we were dabbling in Linux since 95. And the role that I was getting was not really in that. So we were looking for companies in Pune, and then there was a company standing out in that space in Pune. So I joined that company, and I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't, obviously in 2000, nobody was supporting the way it is startups and all now, right? It was very go get a job, get a big brand, all of that. But I joined this company, and then very quickly we realized that there was an opportunity in embedded Linux space. So really compilers, operating systems and all that. And we spun out as a company from the parent company. And that is how I became an entrepreneur. So I was like in the founding team of that. That journey, we did about 6 years. We worked with all the chip manufacturers across the world. And we were acquired by a US company which wanted to build a mobile platform for mobile phones.
When was
this was about 2006. And then, of course, 2007 iPhone happened. And then Android happened in 2008. So the whole mobile platform space changed. We built it up to 2010. And then that company was acquired by Motorola, which was into mobile platforms at that time. And then Motorola got acquired by Google. And then that was the end of my journey, that 13-year journey. Took a break for a year. And then I started a company called Walnut with a junior from VIT, in fact. 1 year junior to us. And Walnut was India's, I would say, at that time, most loved personal finance app. And the idea was to give people control of their personal finances. In 2018, we were acquired by a lending NBFC out of Bangalore called Axio. Because we were using that data to build India's first model for lending based on SMS data. And most recently, we were acquired by Amazon, because as part of their acquisition of the Amazon Pay Later product that we built and that we actually power. So I'm right now at Amazon as part of that journey. So
wow.
That's, yeah.
So both of you started 2000 after VIT, and both have been in diverse journeys, but together in life.
That's
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think the first half she supported me through my entrepreneurial journey, and now I'm supporting her through hers, right? So it's like a
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Patanjali, We have heard your story. You, I think, are an acquisition king. You have gone through acquisitions 3-4 times, maybe a couple of times in your first product, and now in the second phase. It all looks very exciting. It looks very glamorous. But I'm sure you would be having your own experiences around it.
Right.
So, what have been your highs and lows around your journey of making the product, selling it, staying with it, moving on, and coming back to another product?
Yeah, and it's a very great question because everyone sees just the acquisition part of it. And like any other entrepreneurial journey, we only put the headlines in the paper when funding happens or company gets sold or something, right? But actually, it's like the tip of the iceberg thing. 99% of it is hard work, near-death experiences and all of that, right? So we are like across both the entrepreneurial journeys. I call it both because one was into Google and then one was into Amazon now. There's too many experiences that are like highs and lows. Couple of very, I would say really high moments that we had in the Walnut journey was during demonetization, we started a feature which allowed us to tell people where money was in which ATM.
Wow.
There were these lines everywhere all across the country. And in that period of 3 weeks, because of that feature, we went from like 1 million customers to 5 million in 3 weeks. So we saw huge growth. That was a great high that we had. In fact, we then grew to 15 million users or so by the time we were acquired. And we were on stage with Google and Sundar Pichai as one of the 3 companies of India that he showcased on his first trip when he had come as CEO of Google. So there was like very, very high. And of course, all the acquisitions are high. The lows in a lot of these journeys are when, you have this, you see other entrepreneurs being successful, but you are not. So you have this question of when are you going to be successful? There is this whole imposter syndrome that comes to you where you think, are you good enough for this because you see success outside, right? And those are journeys that don't really get highlighted. And they are also part of the lows that you see through all of this. I think the biggest part of the entrepreneurial journey that nobody talks about is the loneliness that you have, right? And they say it's lonely at the top, but it's not really about the top. It's just because only you have that fire and you believe in your product and you want to take it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Then I'm sure we all entrepreneurs relate to what you just mentioned, what you just shared as a journey. Purne, coming to Aragma. You started as a techie.
Yes.
Of course, motherhood happened. Joined a garments business. And started a very niche food business.
Right.
Would love to understand how did Aragma come upon? How did you conceptualize it? How did it happen?
So, I'd seen so much of entrepreneurship at home.
Right.
I had seen an entire journey happen in front of me.
And she still got into it.
Yeah, exactly. So I still got into it, not because I thought that I wanted to get into it, but because it happened. When I said food happened, it actually happened. So Patanjali comes from a Kannada family,
Right.
and I'm a Maharashtrian.
Right.
And I think the first time I really thought about cooking something was after marriage. Clearly, language was a hurdle, culture is different. And at the end of it, you still want it to be very happy, right?
Yes.
And because I'm not very good at learning languages, I thought, okay, the next best thing that I can do to feel connected into the family is to cook. Because over and above language, I mean, the only point where everybody connects with each other, oh, you know my food, right? You know what I eat at home. Oh, this dish from this region. Oh yeah, that's wonderful, or I cook it. And that's a language, love language.
So lovely.
I feel food is such a love language. And I started my dabbling with the recipes my mother-in-law had or her mother-in-law taught her, and, the entire understanding of the culture, why the people are the way they are and all of that. And that is how the journey of Aragma started. Never started with an Excel sheet. Because again, I had seen his journey where he believed in an idea and pursued it to a point where he said, never matter what the outcome is, but at least at the end of the day, you tried. And that is how I just started, and I said, I set out to do Aragma.
So why this niche? You mentioned that we are into not any other type of restaurant, like we go to a fine dine restaurant or we go to a fast food restaurant, but this is a tasting menu restaurant, which at least for Pune is unique.
We are the only ones.
You're the only ones in Pune, I know.
Yeah, and
so why this idea of?
So like I said, impact. And the obvious question was what kind of impact. There is so many things that you can choose from, and you have to choose the battle that you want to win, right? Really, we know this tasting menu format as Indians. Our thalis or wedding food. If you go to a South Indian wedding, you will know that it's served in a certain sequence, and unless you finish that, he's not going to get you something from If you want curd rice as the beginning, he's not going to give you that. He'll say, okay, you wait till I finish, right? We've known this. The only thing that that tasting menu does is allows you to talk about your story or your ingredient one dish at a time. And that gives you time to create that impact and say what you want to say. So it gives you like 2.5, 3 hours with a guest over specially curated, visually stunning, and with some impeccable storytelling in the background to create that impact. That is why the format had to be tasting menu for me.
Amazing. I think so. This is new. As we spoke, it is unique to Pune.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's catching up because we don't have reservations.
I hope so too, yeah.
You both have been a couple on entrepreneurial journeys, of course, diverse. And we learn from each other. Still, Patanjali, what has been one strength that you see in Poornima about her journey? And I want to ask the same question to you about him. So you may go first.
That I want to talk
please.
about. So I think one very important strength I see is she has a lot of empathy and feeling for the other person, which makes a big difference for her hospitality industry, right? She always puts herself in the other person, and she's been doing this all her life, right? But then the other very big quality that she has is resilience, which she doesn't give as much credit to as she should, but she's a very resilient person, right? So that allows, so of course, there's resilience that required in life for personal highs and lows, but entrepreneurship really requires a lot of it. So that has been, I think, the defining qualities for her in the business.
I understand resilience is something that is so important.
Right.
Unfortunately, we talk about it less, and there is no way we can build it in our children
Right.
until they face failures or until they face challenges. Over to you.
Okay. So many things, but I think when you talk about entrepreneurship, no, it means leadership as well. And what I've seen him do, it's been 25 years, 26 years now since college, is he's a people's leader. People who have been working with him since the past 20 years, if not more. And I feel that takes a lot to be a leader like that, to lead by example. And, because people change people, right? People work for people. They don't necessarily work for ideas, right? And I think that is something that I believe is a strength that, that he has. That
It's very unusual for the industry that you belong to, that you
Yeah,
have people
yeah.
with you for such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also the vision that we shared was something that everyone shared. As part of it is also what we are doing was exciting.
Not to take credit.
You all two are also beneficiaries of the VIT matrimonial services. A techie geek meets creative girl. How did this love story happen?